A rich man is on the phone trying to figure out how he can escape Seoul in order to go to Vietnam. The authorities have nailed him down for tax evasion and he is going to face heavy consequences if he stays in the country. Out of a sudden, three men enter the apartment as if they had a key for it, and they hold the old man still. They inject him with a large amount of drugs, causing him to have a heart attack. The man's girlfriend appears, and the men decide to kill her as well because she has seen their faces. Elsewhere, a police bus is transferring some new inmates to prison. Once they arrive, the older inmates try to mess with them. Some of them comment that one of them, Son, has yellow tags on his uniform, which means that he is a person of interest. Son picks a fight with the older inmates and causes a mess. However, this prison is tough and his acts are not going to go unpunished. That night, a prison gang grabs him and hangs him upside down. They beat him up and give him a hard time until their boss tells them to stop because he needs to go to sleep. But this prison boss has an issue. He feels like going to the bathroom before going to sleep. The man uses Song as a bathroom, but the new inmate still has some fight within him. He pretends he wants to say something, but instead, he bites the man's ear. Then, he holds a broken piece of metal near his throat, threatening to kill him if the guards do not take him to see the warden. When they do, the warden stays calm and drinks his special tea from Tibet. Son states that he used to be a civil servant just like the warden. He claims that he is going to be calm and just do his sentence if the warden treats him fairly. But when the chief of the guards takes him outside of the office, a bunch of inmates appear and go after him. The problem is that these men are even more tough than the previous ones. They belong to a gang ruled by Ko, the man who actually runs the prison. The men catch Song and take him to see their boss. Ko warns Song to behave or else he is going to be in trouble. Song is mad because he is receiving advice from an inmate that is no better than him. But Ko shows him that he is very serious. His men are about to cut Song's hand until he starts begging them to stop, saying that he will do everything Ko asks him to. The men stop and Ko reminds Song of his promise. The guards throw Song in solitary confinement, but the young prisoner uses this as an opportunity to befriend a guard and learn more information about Ko. The guard reveals that Ko is the one who actually runs this prison. It's like the warden has given him permission to rule the prison. To be honest, he makes the job of the guards easier. Ko does not belong to any gang. He is the leader of the larger crime organization in the capital of Korea. Rumor has it that Ko is so tough that he evaporated an entire gang because they went against him. In the meantime, Ko also learns more information about Son from the guards. As they tell him, Son used to be a police officer but he was involved in illegal activities such as blackmailing and bribery. On the other hand, he was good at his job and he arrested any criminal that would get on his radar. When Son is let out with the general population in prison, the gang that beat him up approaches him along with their leader. Their boss is mad because Song cut his ear with his mouth and declares that they are going to have a fun night tonight. Song picks a fight with them for a few moments, but they stop when Ko appears. He comments that this gang boss is turning into a bully inside the prison. Ko wants everything to be in order in the prison, so he suggests a fight between Song and the gang boss to resolve their differences. The gangster is scared to fight Son one-on-one, but he can't back down now that everyone is watching because they will understand he is a coward. The two men start fighting, but the gangster is not as tough as he wants others to believe. So Son knocks him out and wins the fight. While Son is transferred to another cell inside the prison, the warden meets with a man named Mr. Kim in a restaurant. Kim gives him an envelope and the warden wonders what this is. Kim says that he knows what to do with it, so the warden goes back to prison and hands the envelope to Ko. The warden says that they need to slow down a bit because things might become complicated, but Ko believes that they can't slow down because they have too many mouths to feed. As it appears, the envelope contains a design of a building where a safe full of money is contained. Ko studies the map with his men, who tell him that they need to find a guy who can blast the wall that leads to the safe. Ko puts a team together and he gets them outside the prison with the warden's approval. 4 men are going to participate in the operation while another will provide cover for them. When it is time, the men break into the room with the safe, and they take out the guards. As they leave that building with the money, they stop their van when the traffic lights turn red. Unexpectedly, one of the criminals leaves the van and runs away, trying to escape. Apparently, he doesn't want to head back to prison. The other prisoner providing cover drives behind him, but the convict manages to escape through an alley. The chief walks into the warden's office to inform him about this incident. Naturally, the warden goes mad because they will all be exposed if the convict gets caught. The timing couldn't be worse for an inspection. A man named Bay, the head of prison service, visits the prison for an evaluation. The man is quite judgmental of the warden and gives him advice on some things that need to be changed. Soon, Bay stumbles on Iko and recalls that the two of them have met in the prison where Iko was previously held. Bay makes fun of him and orders him to stay on attention, and then at ease. But Iko gets tired of this little game and tells him that this is enough. Nonetheless, Bay wants to submit him and orders him to put his head on the ground. Since Iko is not complying, Bay tries to hit him, but the prisoner stops him. The situation gets a bit tense as Iko and the warden don't want Bay to understand who is in charge here. Song decides to intervene and save the day. He starts yelling that prisoners have rights as well, and he picks a fight with the guards. Bay decides to leave while he states that he will be back soon for a new inspection. The guards beat Song up and throw him in solitary confinement again. That night, Iko gets him out of his cell and asks him what's his favorite food. Upon getting an answer, the boss of this prison gets Song outside the prison to grab a bite at a restaurant. While they eat, Iko wonders why Song got involved earlier. Does he want to impress Iko? Song states that maybe impressing Iko comes with its benefits, but getting more serious, he says that he has seen everyone crawl behind him inside the prison, but when the time came to do something for him, nobody did. Iko has a deal to suggest. He wants Song to catch the prisoner who escaped and he will pay him $100,000 in cash. Song gets to work and has a talk with the convict's former partner. The man reveals that the convict called him asking for a ship to China. So now Song knows where to look for him. Soon enough, Song finds the convict and catches him with some help from Iko's guys. Back inside the prison, the convict begs Iko for his life, but the boss is not in the mood to give him a pardon. He orders the man to step on a table and slip his head inside a noose. Then, he kicks the table and kills the convict. Right next, Iko fulfills his promise and pays Song for the mission he accomplished. Song joins Iko's group and he also becomes one of his most trusted guys gradually. One day, Song also sees the warden hiding something in a secret cabinet behind his mirror. As the days go by, some of Iko's guys notice that Song is earning ground against them, and they start developing some bitter feelings. One day as they eat, Song tells one of them that they would have met earlier if he had not been arrested because he was about to bust his gang. The man gets angry and almost starts a fight with Song, but Iko gets up and smashes his face. At night, Song enters the warden's office and manages to open the cabinet behind the mirror. Inside it, he finds all kinds of stuff, such as money, evidence, and a recorder. Song plays the recording and hears a discussion between the warden and Mr. Kim. While the dialogue plays out, Mr. Kim says that a reporter who is nicknamed the Pitbull is after them. That is not a good occurrence because this reporter hunts cases down till the end. Suddenly, the warden enters the office and catches Song, who tells him that he is just cleaning. The chief appears as well, covering for Song by saying that he is indeed cleaning. When the chief takes Song away, he exclaims that he has seen him lurking around the warden's office before. Song says he has some light fingers, and the chief asks what he stole. The chief searches Song and finds some cash in his pockets. He takes the cash from Song, and then lets him go. The next day, an event takes place in the prison, and the guards let the prisoners rest for the day. Mr. Kim also attends and he has brought a businessman along. But this business is a business of drugs. While Iko takes care of the shipment, the rival gang appears under the leadership of their boss, Chong, and they attack him. Iko grabs one of the gangsters and pulls his eye out, scaring the rest of the gang. Chong falls on his knees to beg for forgiveness, but when Iko turns his back to wash his hands, Chong stabs him. Iko is now at a disadvantage, but Song appears to save the day again and beats most of the gangsters. Soon, the guards appear to break the fight, but Chong gets the chance to attack and hits Song with a bat in the back of his head. A flashback is triggered as Song dreams of a past incident when he was in the agency. His brother supposedly died in the accident, but in reality, his death was set up to look like an accident. An officer gave Song a file and asked him if he suspected anyone who would kill his brother. But the story cuts back to the present before Song gives him an answer. However, the story cuts back in time again after Iko wakes up, and we now see that Song's evidence on his brother's case was pointing him to this specific prison. The police chief could not do anything about it, but Song came up with the idea to enter the prisoner undercover and discover what really happened. Back in the present, Chong is supposed to be released today, but the chief drops him in the middle of nowhere. While Chong runs after the police van, another car runs him over and terminates him. At the same time, Iko gathers his group inside the prison and asks the mole to come out before he kills him, meaning the one who helped Chong get to him. As Iko walks around, the mole appears. Ikko has Song take care of him, and the latter cuts his hand on a machine, explaining that the man's narrative will be to say that he lost his hand while he was working with the machine alone. Song feels bad about what he did, and Ikko calls him for a talk. He proclaims that this prison works a certain way. The more you are desperate to survive, the more sins you commit. He also explains that in order to stay at the top, you must strike the leader of your enemies first. Once their minions see them as weak, they will scatter. The next day, Song is taken along with some other prisoners to do some civil work. But the real reason Song is there is because he has to meet with his chief from the agency. Song hands him some clues and explains to the chief what has been going on inside the prison. Ikko sends men outside the prison to commit crimes for money. The chief warns him that he will be in trouble if he stays inside the prison. But Song believes that spending some more time inside is the key to their operation. He has to learn more. In the meantime, the warden calls Ikko for a meeting and hands him a piece of paper. He states that Ikko has spent 18 years as a good inmate. So the warden pulled some threads and is about to set him free. However, the real reason the warden wants him to go is because Bay has been on his back. The head of prison service has been investigating the warden and he knows that he has some form of a connection to this inmate. Despite the warden's supposed goodwill, Ikko wants to stay inside because he can run his business uninterrupted this way. He tears the paper in half and warns the warden to never try such a trick again, or else he will send his wife to prison. Soon, Ikko prepares his group for another operation, but this time the police will be waiting for them because Song has notified his chief. However, it seems like Song does not have the complete picture of this operation. Ikko changes their destination and the police never find them. At the same time, Ikko's men bring in Mr. Bay. Ikko announces that he is going to promote his warden to head of prison service so he can control all of the prisons in this country instead of just his own. Bay claims that he will resign quietly, but Ikko is too mad at him to forgive him, so he just kills him. When the inmates return to prison, Ikko has a meeting with Song, wondering who is the rat inside their group. He makes a phone call to one of his men, as he is about to kill the police agency's chief, and that makes Song break character, asking Ikko to let the chief live. As it appears, Ikko knows everything about Song and this was part of his plan. Song tries to attack him, but he is attacked by Ikko's men first. The underworld boss corners him and tells him that he is the one who killed his brother. As it is revealed, the journalist who Mr. Kim was talking about in the recording was Song's brother. At the time, the warden and Ikko were planning how to kill him. As he stands above Song, the warden walks into the warehouse and starts fighting with Ikko like two roosters in the cockpit. Ikko steals his gun and kills him, telling the chief that he is going to become the new warden. Then, he asks the chief and his men to kill Song as he walks away. Song struggles to stay alive, as everyone tries to kill him, but one of the younger members of the group takes pity on him and kills the lights. Song is able to use the darkness as his leverage, and manages to run outside the warehouse. The new warden declares that Song is trying to escape, and now all the guards are looking for him. Song starts a couple of fires around the prison in order to cause a mess and buy some time for himself. Then, he gets to the watchtower and shoots the ground around Ikko. The powerful boss gets to the top of the watchtower, and the two of them start fighting. The police appear as well, and they order Song to stand down. The fight between the two men takes many turns, until Ikko gets on top of Song. The two of them play mind games with one another, while a bunch of snipers aim at Ikko. Song gets to his nerves and Ikko tries to kill him, but the snipers pull their triggers first and Ikko meets his end. The police make the necessary arrests, while Song is taken in front of a judge the next day. Since he has participated in some of Ikko's operations, Song needs to face some repercussions and will be sent to prison for a couple of years. But after that, he will be clean and free to live his life.